Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm so glad to have you all here today. We have quite a full house, and so we're going to give everyone a couple of minutes to join. I do have Sean Hulbert, our regularly scheduled presenter. He's going to be helping in the background today because I have Brian Thomasy, who is with Tetra Tech. He's going to be giving us a very brief demonstration. And I also have Ramesh, who is with our product team, who is going to show us a little bit about what is new in InfraWorks. So hopefully you guys are all excited about that. I love the InfraWorks product and what it brings to the table in our projects. And then last but not least, I have Adam Riley, and he is one of our expert elites. He's going to be helping us answer some questions in the background. So keep those questions coming in throughout the presentation. If it's relevant to something we're talking about right at the moment, we may announce your question live and have our presenter, whoever it might be, whether it's Brian or Ramesh, to actually talk about the answer to that. While we're waiting, because we do have such a full house today, I would love to know where you are joining from. So if you don't mind, go ahead and type in the Q&A panel where you're joining from. And I apologize up front if I pronounce your names wrong as I announce you. Um, it's always interesting. So I have Sean from Denver, Colorado, Bob from Zion, Illinois. I'll bet it's not as pretty as Zion in Utah. No, just kidding. All right, so we have Michael from Goshen, New York, David from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Nice to have you. I'll bet it's really nice where you are. And ooh, it's coming in quick now. Robert from Woodstock, Ontario, Colin from Overland Park. That's the only thing I don't like about this Q&A panel. As soon as someone types a new one in, it starts scrolling. Sometimes a little too fast. Okay, let's see. Who else do we have? Robert from
Pop it out,
Florida.
Michelle. That's what I ended up having to do.
What's that?
Pop it out of your panel.
I did, and it's still
It's
going
still
as
it's
fast.
still scrolling.
It's scrolling so fast. Like I've got it as big as my screen, and it's still going quick, quick, quick. But I love it. I love having this global audience. It's always nice to see everyone from around the world join us. We have Steve from Anaheim, California, James from New Mexico, Paul from Houston, Texas. Uh, I might pronounce this wrong, so I apologize. Enji from Dubai. It's nice to have you on. Dalendra from, I just see hello. So hello, Dalendra. I didn't see where you came in from.
India.
Oh, from India. Nice to have you. Yes, wonderful. Excellent. Well, while we're waiting for everyone else to come in, what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and go through some orders of business so that we leave plenty of time for Q&A. And so let me just quickly tell you a little bit about our safe harbor statement. Basically, some of the features that we might talk about today may or may not be future things that we're going to be adding to the software. So I want to make sure that you don't make any buying decisions based on anything you see. So just getting that out of the way. Again, don't make any buying decisions based on what you see, but I think for the most part, Ramesh will be showing you things that are already in the software. So I think we'll be okay. Just to let you know as well, your lines are muted. That's just to reduce the background noise, and because we are recording it, and everyone who registered will receive an email at the end of the session with the recording link. And so if you do have questions, we do want to encourage you to put those in the Q&A box. This meetup is really meant to be an interactive way to meet other people in the industry, talk about how you're working through issues, and learn from each other. So hopefully, you gain a lot from today's presentation, but even more so, I want you to feel comfortable asking those questions in the Q&A panel. If you feel even more brave and would like to ask your question live, you can go ahead and raise your hand in that participants panel or the attendee panel, and I can open your lineup and allow you to speak to everyone and ask your question live. So just as a reminder, these are the meetups that we have available, everything from architect to BIM manager to plant design, and the two in the middle there, they are the electrical engineer and mechanical engineer. Those two are for the manufacturing industry, whereas the building engineering meetup on the fourth Thursday of the month, that is for the AEC, and it does include mechanical and electrical engineers in that building one. So, all right. I want to let you know about the call for proposals is open right now for Autodesk University. Autodesk University has gone digital this year. And so the deadline to submit your proposals is on June 22nd. If you would like to submit that, I am going to put a link directly in the chat panel and in the Q&A panel so that you have the link to go and submit your proposals. But it's a great opportunity for you to share your knowledge with industry. In addition to that, there it goes. We are going to be doing something different. So our meetups, we hold them monthly, and we're going to continue to hold them even through AU. And so we will have a civil engineering meetup at AU for you to join in. And we're going to do this slightly different. We're not just going to show you a presentation from Autodesk. We're actually going to ask you to speak at AU. And so if you have a topic, maybe it's a workflow that saved you time and money with your company, maybe it's a best practice at your firm, maybe it's some tips and tricks on how you are more efficient. If you have any of those things, for a 5-minute talk that you would like to share, go ahead and email those to me directly, michelle.rasmussen@autodesk.com, by July 31st. And what we'll do is I will collect all of your submissions and put a poll together for the August meetup, and everyone will vote on which topics they would like to see. And the top 4 topics are going to be invited to the meetup, with the highest number of votes going first and then the lowest going last, just in case we run over a little bit and we don't get to that 4th one. At least the top 3 will be seen. And then we will hold some practices, so you'll have a chance to work with me to learn how to present and everything for AU. That will be September and October. We'll have 2 different practices to give you plenty of time to come up with your 5-minute talk. So with that, I would love to show you a sample of this. Actually, I'm not going to show you. Brian is going to go ahead and present. And so let me stop sharing my screen. And I am going to make Sean Hulbert the presenter so that you can present the slides for Brian. All right, did that give you access there?
Yes, it did. And let's see, what screen is it going to let me show? There we go, monitor 1. Perfect. So you should see my slide.
Perfect. Yes, we do. And
Excellent.
Brian, are you on the line?
I am, thank you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I'm going to mute myself and give you to the floor and listen to what Brian has to say.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. And so my name is Sean Holbert. Many of you know me. I'm on this call most months. And so I definitely appreciate your time again this month. And what I'd like to do is formally introduce my colleague here, Brian Tomasi. He's the CAD manager for one of Autodesk's customers, Tetra Tech. And through some collaborative efforts, Brian has shared his workflow to allow us to help you work better in BIM 360. So let's go ahead. I'll move it over here. I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, Brian, and then I'll move the slide.
Okie dokie. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Tomasi. As Sean had said, I work for Tetra Tech. I am a CAD manager / civil engineer designer. I've been with Tetra Tech for, going on 20 years. I started with AutoCAD back in 1985 and been doing civil since 1992. So it's been a lot of fun, and going through all those different versions and releases, it's been fantastic. So today what we've got for you is as Sean had mentioned, through a collaborative effort, we've been kind of hammering away at BIM 360 and how to get our civil designs up and using within the cloud. And so I see that we have on the screen some learning objectives. Did you want to speak to that, Sean?
Sure. So we'll go ahead, and what Brian wants to do is give you a little bit of background on the approach that they leverage when they're putting together their products with Civil 3D. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the developers here at Autodesk. We have released an updated version of the desktop connector. It is now 13.1.0.1053, as well as two updated versions for Civil 3D, 2020.4 and 2021.0.2. I highly recommend both of these updates. I've been testing them in live products myself and projects myself, and I am very happy with the success so far. And what Brian's going to go into detail on are some of the workflows challenges that we still currently have in BIM 360, and those are related to relative paths. So the components inside Civil 3D that are impacted are your survey database, your QTO tools, your quantity takeoff tools, the reference templates, sheet set manager, and your externally referenced files for surfaces such as XML and MMS files. And I'll let you go ahead, Brian, and talk about what you did
Okay,
and your workflow.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, so with our workflow, we were trying to basically figure out a good way to migrate existing projects going forward into BIM 360. The first thing what I wanted to do is just talk about, just really quickly, the 256 character cap limit. As you can see, what we've got here is we've got a project that we have under project folders, and I've got some basic folder structures. And we're trying to keep them as small as possible because of that 256 cap. So the first thing that we did was we uploaded all of our files up into the server, and from there we wanted to mimic the original folder structure as much as we can, but we did it through the drag and drop method and using the File Explorer. If we go to the next slide. So by using the File Explorer, as you can see here, we navigated to the BIM 360, which is going to be under this PC. And we started drilling down, and from here, it looks like it's on our hard drive. And in a sense, it is. So what you're going to do is you're going to dive down into it, and what that does is that actually refreshes your computer, and your computer now sees it, because what you're going to be using is it's a batch file. And for those of you that don't understand or remember what a batch file is, it's an old DOS programming method that uses a substitute command where you can make folders on your hard drive look like a lettered path. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing that batch file. It's as a TXT because you can't load a .bat up into BIM 360. So for people that are going to be working on my project, I have them download it, remove the TXT extension, and it becomes a batch file. And what this does is the net use means if it's a network and it's got set for in drive, it disconnects it, and then also if there's a substitution for the in drive, it completely disconnects it, and then it resubstitutes. Now the reason we chose in, well, that's the only one we had open, so at the time. So choose your letter, choose it wisely. But what you can do is it can be for any letter. So that N could be a P, an O, an F, anything. The next sets of characters is basically stating for the user profile. So it's the % user profile %. Now, what the magic about this is, and I stumbled upon this by using Dropbox. This will negate or basically redirect based on the user's profile. So whoever's logged in on the computer, it uses their profile. And it'll set the profile, BIM 360, and in this case, Tetra Tech. And you can see that the BIM 360 Tetra Tech there within the File Explorer is set, and you can see the Port Hadlock project there. And what that does is once this is set, you now have an in drive. It's like a P or an O or an F or whatever your project folder location was like. And when that's set, you can now use your reference manager and sheet set manager to path through that newly formed pathing. Now, I do want to make a couple of quick alerts here. You have to go into the BIM 360 folder, and if you go back a couple of slides for me. On the BIM 360 folder that you're wanting to utilize, in this case, I've got the port Hadlock. You dive down into to the folder structure where your files are located, and you right-click on them, and you sync them for 2021. If you're on 2020, it's basically download. And what it'll do is it'll take them off of the cloud and bring them down to your hard drive. Now, this is important for the batch file to work properly, because if you haven't done that first, then the batch file won't work properly and it won't see all the folders. So they've got to be cached locally to your hard drive first. But now once you've done that, you keep going forward a couple more, or at least I think, was it one more? Right there. After that, you can launch your reference manager. You can navigate, and you see here my in drive. Now it's calling it the operating OS disk in. And now I can dig down in and I can see the files. That includes Excel spreadsheets, DST files, drawing files, whatever is located in BIM 360 is now located here as well. This is where I can open up my reference manager, drag the files over, and start setting them to the relative path. And you're going to notice that in, what is it, the GBS 22 by 34 horizontal, which is our title block, it's already set to a relative path of the dot, but before it was basically set to the in drive. So you reset these guys to your relative paths, and then you would just save the changes. And you can actually watch it work in the background with your desktop connector as it's updating BIM 360. Now, I do want to say, when you bring in the drawing, and if you've ever used Reference Manager before, it's going to ask you two questions. It's going to ask you, do you only want to do the first level, or if you want to go down into the nested XREFs? Only do the first level. It just saves you time. And also try to work backwards. Work with your model files first, and then work with your files that you XREF into the sheets. Those were the ones that you want to work. And don't do them a ton at a time. Just do them in batches. First off, it helps you not to clog your system. It helps not to clog the desktop application, and it allows it time to get synced with the BIM 360 on the site. Something that can also help you while you're doing this is, before launching the reference manager, change the folder name of the original project location. It'll basically help break some of those references, so that way you can see it and redirect it to the correct location for the relative pathing. And then also, once you've migrated your project, do yourself a favor and remove the project to an archive location so the linkage can't be reestablished. With the sheet set manager, it works in the exact same way. You can just open the sheet set manager, start manipulating, start adding sheets, going through the mapped drive. Because everybody on your project is going to download that batch file, and they're going to all be batched. They're all going to be pathed to the same naming or letter location. Now, something that you do want to look out for is that when you're renaming or renumbering and using Sheet Set Manager to rename the drawing file itself, make sure your desktop connector is set to working offline. This way, it will actually rename it and remove the old one, add the new one, and then when you go back to being online, it will see that BIM 360 will see that change, and it will remove the old one and replace it with the new one. Otherwise, if you work online, you will have the old drawing and the new drawing, unfortunately.
You'll be creating copies.
Yeah, you'll be creating copies. Another thing to also remember is the Sheet Set Manager will be on BIM 360, but it would be best if either one person manages it or you have a great level of communication, because BIM 360 does not lock that file when it gets opened. That, I understand, is going to be, hopefully, it's in the works to be fixed, but until such time, it doesn't lock it. So somebody could be modifying it at the same time you did, and then the last one that saves wins. So just be aware of that. So that's basically, yeah.
And sorry, Brian, we talked about this was probably one of the most important things.
Yep, that is the most important thing. Thank you for reminding me. Patience, patience, patience. Remember, you are downloading and uploading a lot of data. So just be patient with it. Some of them may take longer than the others, but make sure you're in a position where you can set for a little bit of time and do this. Pre-cache and then change and be patient. have the desktop application open so you can see what's pending and what's moving forward through it. Once you do this, I took a 256-page plan set with over 500 files. Through everything, it took me 36 hours, but that's after doing it 4 times. By the time I got it down, it took 6 to 8 hours, and the whole thing's readjusted, and now it's COVID-19 proof. We can all work from home, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So patience.
Thank you,
That's about all
Brian.
I have. Mm-hmm.
That was absolutely awesome. We really appreciate that.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions for Brian? Okay, we have one question coming in. To mail link does not open in one system. What do we do?
I'm sorry, what link?
I think that's related to the meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We were
Sorry.
trying to get a meeting invite out, and the forward didn't work. Do you have an invite you could post in the chat?
Um, you know what? Let me see if I do. Let me see if I can.
And I will
Okay.
stop sharing now.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and make Ramesh the presenter so that he can get set up. And Ramesh, are you able to share your slides? So the question came in, what was being discussed here? Brian was just showing a very quick little update on a workflow that Tetra Tech uses now with their BIM 360 and loading their documents, and how they figured out a workaround for the drive letter issue that they experienced. And so now we are going to go into having Ramesh from our product team actually talk about what's new in InfraWorks. So Ramesh, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Sean. Brian, that was a great presentation. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Ramesh with Autodesk. I've been working with Autodesk for about 5 years. Had an opportunity to work on a lot of cool stuff. I've been a product manager for reality capture, feature extraction for infrastructure, how to get those existing conditions from point cloud data. I was also the product manager for S3 Autodesk relationship, how we added that data flow between the GIS and the conceptual and detailed design in InfraWorks and Civil 3D. Those features we added in the product. And recently I took over the role of the product manager for InfraWorks itself. So it's kind of a cool opportunity with great conceptual design software. So I'm happy to represent InfraWorks. Every year we have a good release. So we work on we call it this as a global launch. The .0 is one of the main release. Then we call it a dot release, .1 or .2. But the global launch, a bigger one, is always a important theme. And this year is no different. The features took the main stage for this year is the inter-product workflow, like a corridor workflow and the civil structure workflow, how the data can flow between the conceptual design and the detailed design is one of the main themes we had in our product. And the workflow continuity that brings, because of this workflow between the conceptual and detailed design, we understand that it's vital for the successful infrastructure project. And this capability delivers precisely that. That's what we are highlighting here. There are a lot more updates went onto this release, like the unified IMX and DWG data source. Now users can bring in both works in a similar way. Some of the parametric bridge content, some of that high DPI scaling, 4K monitors, a lot of customers been asking for. We also implemented that. In addition to that, there are a lot more work has been done, but this corridor workflow, the civil structure workflow is one of the highlight of this particular release. Let me dive right into that. So here, the InfraWorks 2021 now utilizes the power and the precision of the Civil 3D for corridor models. The cool thing is once the user have developed the geometric design details and created the corridor model, they can import their corridor directly into InfraWorks. So here you see the Civil 3D drawing. When I go in here in InfraWorks, I can import them directly. And when you do that, and there are options that gives control to the user on how they can import the alignments with corridors from Civil 3D. This improvement allows users to import all the calculated design elements or just the selected elements. You can actually pick what you want. User can even define the mapping of materials to apply to the corridor shapes, everything. And once you do that, the fully designed roadway corridor is placed in the contextual environment. Once you have it, you can make your bridge workflow, a tunnel workflow, anything you want using the detailed design geometry. The corridor model in InfraWorks is actually read-only, but it is linked to the Civil 3D in a connected workflow. So let's say that revisions are made to the corridor model, either you change the alignment or the profile or assembly-related modifications. Users can just simply rebuild the corridor, save the changes, and easily update those changes in the connected InfraWorks model. All you have to do is click the data source and choose re-import option. It's kind of like a cool refresh, but works on the DWG file and get the detailed design aspect. This capability gives a good control and helps enhance the workflow connection between the Civil 3D and the workflow on the corridors. That's exactly what we're aiming to achieve on this one. This feature is available from 2021. We are making some modification that will come up in the future release also, but this is currently available. User can use it. And the civil structures workflow is kind of a continuation of that. In 2021, Autodesk released the enhanced bridge design workflow for bridge professionals. Even here, we start in the Civil 3D utilizing the road geometry to create the initial bridge. Then InfraWorks creates the bridge along the alignment using built-in heuristic rules. We can then interact directly with the bridge structure, changing the individual components of the bridge using the parametric toolset, where the repetitive tasks or where geometry may depend on the formula. You can even use a spreadsheet, can be generated, edited, and used to update the model, making it more flexible and fluent. And during the optioneering phase, it's possible to utilize the integrated analysis and design tools. This provides feedback to user to identify workable solutions in an easy understanding format. And it also has the detailed calculations and everything. When the changes are made in Civil 3D, same thing as before, these can be accommodated by refreshing Civil 3D data source within the InfraWorks. Bridge structure will in turn automatically rebuild parametrically. The bridge structure can be published to Revit also at any time with a new transfer process, giving additional flexibility in the use of customized Revit templates. Category mapping, that's a cool one, for features providing reports based on mapped category bridge paths. So you can see how detailed it can go with inter-product communication. And work in Revit can continue concurrently with the bridge modeling in InfraWorks, carrying out detailed tasks such as, like I say, rebar, detailing, and sheet sets, everything. And it's also now possible to bring the bridge model back into Civil 3D and to assist with the grading. I'll wait here. You're talking about the sheets and the Revit piece of it. Excuse me. And once you have it, you can bring it in Civil 3D to assist the grading task and create further documentation needed. And when the changes are made to the bridge model, it's really cool. They can be reflected in Civil 3D by refreshing the data set. This newly released enhanced bridge design workflow. This workflow provides a means for the bridge professionals to rapidly develop multiple design options through the use of really powerful parametric modeling technology. We've been having this parametric model a little bit of before, and we are enhancing it with the additional parametric content and the workflow interop between the Civil 3D, between the Revit, the data flow makes this workflow much more smoother. Very simple, sleek workflow for the practical applications. So those are the two main things that actually took the main stage in the InfraWorks 2021. The other one is the DPI scaling. So this is something now the monitors, now all the workstation has high definition monitors and screen. And previously, this is a before screenshot of InfraWorks. So you see that InfraWorks try to show a lot of content, but the fonts and the text becomes too small. Sometimes it is hard for user to read it through. So we updated that part so that now you can actually change it. Now the newer version, it adjusts, software automatically adjusts so that the screen still provides a lot of the data content, but in addition to that, your fonts are not too small. You can actually read it through very easily. Same way, the other aspect, this is a typical home screen and having the options here with a smaller font, but with the DPI scaling, now it's much more easier to interact and much more easier to work with. Like I said, especially it's on the high definition monitors. That's where this matters a lot. So those are some of the few new stuff we added in what InfraWorks 2021. There are a lot more available there too. Like for example, let me just I'm trying to come out of the here and show you. Anytime you guys can always check more details on the corridor geometry civil 3D piece. This unified DWG and IMX import. This is another cool thing. For those who work between Civil 3D and InfraWorks, there are a couple of ways you can bring it in, IMX and DWG. Sometimes it looks, the UX and sometimes the workflow might look a little bit different. We made sure it's unified. It is straightforward for the user to take the data back and forth. And parametric bridge content, we added more content, especially from the inventor. That's why it's parametric content. So now it's not just a one fixed model. You can update it based on your practical needs. So this web page shows you the new stuffs we added into the product, along with other fixes and updates. Like I mentioned, the connector for ArcGIS, we made some of the updates in 2021, where you publish the data, where you get the data from ArcGIS have been enhanced. There are more updates are available in the web page as well. I think that's what I want to cover, Michelle, today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ramesh. So I haven't seen any questions coming in yet, but if you do have some questions, go ahead and type those in the Q&A panel. Or if you are brave enough, go ahead and raise your hand in that attendee panel, and I can open up the lines so that you can speak and ask your question live. I'm not seeing anything come in. And if you do have questions as well for Brian, you can go ahead and ask those. All right, let me ask you the question. By a raise of hands in the attendee panel, how many of you are considering the opportunity to speak at AU? Go ahead and raise that hand up in the attendee panel so we can see. I see Desiree. Great. I'm excited to have you see what you're going to present. And I may pronounce this wrong. I apologize up front. Jayesh Kumar? Glad to see there's a few brave souls. Manglum, excellent. And if you are interested and you're just a little bit scared of public speaking, I want to put your mind at ease. I can coach you and help you with that. The AU team actually has put together an amazing mentoring program, which I've been had the opportunity to be a part of since its inception a few years ago. But they take the time to teach you how to pull your presentation together and assign new speakers to mentors so that you can work one-on-one or you can work in a group, whichever is going to be the most beneficial for you. Because we do care about your success and we want to see you, be able to share your knowledge with the community. That's how we all gain, is by sharing our knowledge. And that's why I love my job so much. So okay, so if we don't have any questions, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and lower everyone's hands so that if you do have a question specific to today's presentation, you can go ahead and raise your hand in that attendee panel or type it into the Q&A panel, and I will open up your line so that you can ask that live. And I just saw someone's hand go up and I lost it. Let's see where it went. Okay. Apologize for this if I murder your name. It's Shabadip. I'm going to unmute your line. Last name Gosh. Are you able to speak? Hi, can you pronounce your name properly for me?
Yeah, my name is Shubhodip Ghosh and I'm from India.
Great. And what is your question?
My question is that my friend was telling about the InfraWorks, which is coming over in 2021. Just to remind him that although we had worked on AutoCAD and as well as Revit also, that about the InfraWorks bridge development and etc. works. So what's the new thing Autodesk is introducing to us in 2021? Except from that, the work we used to do on the Revit.
Ramesh, are you able to answer that?
Sure. So the corridor piece is the new one in 2021. So previously you can bring in the DWG. You guys can hear me okay, right? Yeah, so
Okay.
you can bring in the DWG, but treating them as a corridor and utilizing it fully in InfraWorks, that's a new piece in 2021. So as I showed in that video, you can actually bring that, you can assign specifically what of each of those alignments and corridors should behave in InfraWorks. That makes it more useful, obviously. And also any updates user can make on the Civil 3D can be easily re-imported or refreshed, and so that the work can continue on the InfraWorks side as well. That is one of the new stuff.
Okay. And another question from my side. Can I ask that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just told about the 4K modeling and which he was talking. Can you just give the details of that?
So it's actually 4K monitor support. So any high definition monitors and some I was about to say resolution, but the high resolution and the high definition monitors, the fonts became too small. So a lot of products are actually updating it, and InfraWorks is actually doing it in 2021. That's the difference. It has nothing to do with
Okay,
InfraWorks model. It's just for a visualization and ease of the work purpose.
okay. Thank you for my answer.
You bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Okay. Whoops. No, I've lost audio on that. Okay. And so we did have a question come in from Paul. When will rendering come back to InfraWorks? Do we have an answer on that, Ramesh?
So when you say rendering, you mean like the material rendering or the animations or?
I think there used to be a rendering command in the under displays, I believe, is where it might have. I believe where it was, and it would take, the way it looks just naturally and make it more picturesque. And I know we took that out a while back, and I don't know if we plan to bring that back.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'll check with the team. I'll get back to you on that. Sorry about
Okay, excellent. All right, and let's see. Okay, so the question is, from Manglam is he's from India and wants to ask about what is special in the InfraWorks rather than Revit software. Do you want to talk about the little bit of differences there between Revit and InfraWorks, Ramesh?
Sure. So yeah, Revit software is basically for the building design and the high definition architecture piece. That's of course Revit does a lot more. Just for a comparison purpose, let me say that like that. But InfraWorks, on the other hand, it's a conceptual design product for infrastructure modeling or infrastructure projects actually. So basically, like for example, you're building a neighborhood, or building a area. You can have a site, you can bring the road information, you can bring all those things from the design as a Civil 3D, as well as you can actually draw the conceptual design pieces, create that in InfraWorks also. At the same time, you can bring the Revit models from Revit, what you build detailed thing information there, you can bring it to InfraWorks as well, so that now you have a complete infrastructure piece. So that's in a very simplistic way, that's the difference between the product. Michelle and Sean's not, and Michelle, if you want to add, you can please.
Yeah, no, I thought you described it perfectly. I mean, I would probably say something around the lines that Revit is more for the building itself, whether you're working with the MEP aspect or the structural aspect or the architectural aspect of that building, where InfraWorks is going to allow you to see that design in context with its surroundings so that you can see the full project, not just the building, but all the landscape around it, other buildings around it, and be able to see it in full context.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to add on to much more, yeah, even the traffic flow, like for example, InfraWorks has something called a traffic simulation and mobility simulation. You can actually simulate how the traffic patterns will look like. We actually have a cool workflows where now the GIS data can flow in more fluently now. There are a couple of customers used getting the GIS data and they simulate the traffic with the real-time, real data from the GIS information, so that it's not a made-up simulation, it's a real-life simulation. And InfraWorks provide you opportunity to change some of the design, like change an intersection to a roundabout, for example, and see how it improves or what it does for the traffic and things like that. So a lot more simulation analysis things can be done as a big picture item from InfraWorks.
Okay, great. All right, and I'm seeing a question. Oh, I think it's more of a comment. I'm not sure. So Manglem is asking, is InfraWorks software also do estimating and costing? Do you want to talk about some of the quantity takeoff tools that are available?
Yep. So yeah, you can do that. So it has a quantity calculations, the cut and fill, all those information can be extracted from the terrain, from the site aspect of it. Yeah.
Great. Okay, and Edgar is asking, I don't know if Ramesh or I will be able to answer this, but do you know if Autodesk is going to release educational licenses for InfraWorks 2021? I believe there are some educational licenses, but I don't want to misquote.
No, there are. So the InfraWorks switched to network licenses last year by 20.2 or 20.3. Because of the few hiccup, the student license, the education license doesn't work with that network license. We are actually working on updating that. So 2021 is probably not available the student licensing right now, but I think in a few months or something it should open up. We are working on it in the background.
Perfect. So the question's coming in, can we insert Google SketchUp models in InfraWorks?
The answer is yes. I think in the forum, I've not personally done that so far, but I know that one of the customer I worked with, they used some workflow to do that. There are some forum messages available. If you can check in InfraWorks forum, I think you can find it. If not, please reach out to us and I'll try to get that information for you.
Yep, excellent. And another question came in. I have a questions that can we combine features like planning, survey, design, and estimate in a single software? Why are there so many different softwares? It's a big problem to learn all of them.
True, I agree, but the user, it's a bigger question than just the InfraWorks piece, obviously, but user personas are different. Like for example, one of the common question is, there's a software called, I'll take one example, like a recap, where the recap is software, you can bring in the point cloud data, you can index it, and InfraWorks is the product where you can take the point cloud data and do the feature extraction and things like that. One common question I always get is, why do we need two softwares? The answer is yes, from that perspective, that workflow perspective, you don't need the two softwares, but there are users who want the point cloud data to go into Revit, point cloud data to go into plant design. So there are different personas come into picture. So the different softwares basically to ease that particular piece of the puzzle so that it can jive in together and get the workflow smoother. Unfortunately, it does come with a small baggage of learning that new piece of software. Having said, even the internal, we are actually working more on making the user interface, making those the changes between software as much seamless as possible. But then again, it's actually for the good and the bad. So we're focusing more on the good, make sure that it comes out well.
Well, and I always like to answer that question with, if you were going to build a house, would you just use a hammer? Probably not. It would be very inefficient if you did. And so you need the saws, you need the hammers, you need the nails, you need the screws, the drills, you need all of it to help you build that more efficiently. And that's what we're trying to do, is provide you with all of the tools to help you do your job better and faster. Excellent. All right. Devin is asking the question, is the ability to bring in pressure pipe network from Civil 3D into InfraWorks going to be added to the product?
Yes, there are few requests on that also. It is in our roadmap.
Excellent. And can you share a setup for short time just for exercises, practices, because the online training give us theoretical skills if we practice. Okay, so Alice, I'm going to tell you just briefly a little bit about our connected learning experience. I don't know if you've been introduced to this before. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that I can share that with you. And let me bring it up. So our connected learning experience, we've built this customer success learning portal to show you the connection between all of the disciplines and the connection between the different softwares. And I cannot get my screen to share. Let me try that one more time. Okay, hopefully you're seeing that now. And I'll pull this out of the way. Okay, so here we have a number of different courses, and all of these are really 15 minutes long so that you can spend it maybe on a smoke break or a lunch break or just something in between your tasks. Or some people actually like to have the videos running as they're working on projects so that they can take advantage of the learning they're doing in a real project. But if you don't want to practice anything on your projects, we actually provide data sets with all of these. And so if I go into my civil engineering learning path, here is an introduction to using the model builder within InfraWorks. And when I go into that course, you'll see it's a very short course. It introduces me to creating models within minutes, adding some GIS data sources to that model that didn't come in automatically with Model Builder, and analyzing that model using some themes and styles. But the nice thing here is we have you be introduced to a topic, very short videos, and then you try it using our data set so that you can get some practice with that. It takes you a little bit more advanced topics than what the help system provides. And like I said, it provides that connection between disciplines. It provides the connections between softwares. So in another course, you might learn how to take that InfraWorks model into Civil 3D so that you don't start all over from scratch when you move from one software to another. So I hope that answered the question you were asking there. And another question came in. SketchUp models, cars, buildings, bars, tables, chairs, etc. will come in InfraWorks. Yes, they will all come in. Sometimes you'll use city furniture to do that. Other times you'll use a Revit model to do that. And what are some of the other things, Ramesh, that you can bring in?
FBX, I mean, anything, the file format FBX based, you can bring it in 3D Studio Max and Maya information, you can actually bring it in as a Collada file. Even animations can be brought in as a Collada files or a DAE files into InfraWorks.
Yeah, a lot of different file types, huh? All right. Manglam is asking, can we extract the data from Google Earth and work with it by InfraWorks? And can we extract data from Google Earth to work? Oh, I guess it's the same question twice. So not specifically Google Earth, but with the model builder, it does go out and find surface information. It finds buildings, roads and waterways, railways. There's a lot of information that comes in automatically with the model builder.
True. And in addition to that, we recently added connector for ArcGIS. So now you can take advantage of all the GIS data, the public GIS data, we can bring it in. You can even log into the connector for ArcGIS without a credentials. In the first few versions, you need to have an ArcGIS online license or something to log in, but we added a guest option recently. So you can actually go there and fetch any public data, and you can bring that in. And since the user mentioned the Google Earth, I'm just curious what information. If you're looking for the base map images, there are Bing images you can actually bring in from InfraWorks model as well. So those options are also available.
Yep. Luke is asking the question, is InfraWorks mostly a tool of visualization? I would say visualization and analysis. Is that it? Would you agree with that, Ramesh?
Yes, it's even a little bit more than that. So like I mentioned, the one aspect is visualization piece as to stakeholder engagement, make sure everyone's on the same page in the project. On top of that, you can do a conceptual design, like what happens if I do this, what are the different proposals you can build for the same area. So you can play with it before you go into detailed design. And it's kind of, at some cases, it's kind of a little bit blurring that demarcation. Like for example, bridge workflow is a little bit more advanced on that aspect. You can bring the parametric model, you can even do some of the design aspects there. As I mentioned, there is a flight simulation and the traffic simulation and the mobility simulation. A lot of the, actually, there's a Autodesk InfraWorks LinkedIn group. You can join there. There are a lot of videos on how to use the mobility simulation using InfraWorks on some of the social distancing we are actually trying to adapt nowadays. There are practical situations we can actually do, how to manage the queues into a parking lot to a building and things like that. So a lot of analysis and simulations can also be done. So definitely visualization is a starting point. From there, it actually goes much, much more than that for infrastructure projects.
Great. And it looks like we have someone raising their hand, so I'm going to see if I can unmute you. Jaban Kumar, I hope I said your name right. Let's try. It looks like you're self-muted. Are you able to unmute yourself? Did you have
Yes,
a question?
yes, ma'am. I have a question that for any engineering student, it is very problem that all the softwares we learn in our college or any organizations. Hello.
Yes. I'm trying to process what you said there. So you're talking about all the different softwares in an organization, and what was the question specifically?
Yes, we learn that softwares. We learn maybe manually, but when we did in that software, we have a problem that.
We have a student licensing available for our products, right? For them to use.
Yes, let me see if I can grab that link so that you can learn it through the student community. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so I understood, Jaban, and am I pronouncing that right? Please correct me if I am not.
Kumar Oja.
Okay, and so while I'm looking for that, you're just looking for ways to learn the software before purchasing it. Is that the question that you asked? I want to make sure I'm answering the right one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. And let's see, let's try. Okay, I'm going to put this link into the software. It's autodesk.com/education/free-software. And so, like I said, I'll put that into the chat so that everyone has that. But it's a great way to go out and use the software to practice on it before actually purchasing it. If you are a student, it's really nice. There are some educational videos and things in there as well. Our Design Academy is a great place to go and learn fundamentals as well as certification prep. So if you are looking to become certified on the software, you can go out to there and go through the Design Academy for the certification prep classes that we have available. So hopefully that link came through okay.
Ma'am, I have a question that during our project works, we model different models.
Mm-hmm.
During in our final year college, we build different project works. So there any software in which we can build our project.
So yeah, the educational software allows you to do everything that you could in the commercial product. The only difference is it has, when you try to print, it has student version written across it. And that's actually embedded. So if you open up a commercial project in student software, that will become embedded in the drawing. So you want to be careful of that. But it allows you to do all your projects, everything that you would, like I said, in the commercial product, to allow you to feel that real experience. And the connected learning experience that I showed you earlier, that allows you to use real projects. So you can practice on those. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Michelle, since one person asked for the file format, I posted a link. For some reason, I couldn't put it to all entire audience. If you can just paste it to the audience, that will be good.
Okay.
That link basically provides list of file formats and how it works with InfraWorks.
Okay, perfect. Let me copy that over. And there we go. That should have come out to everyone. Perfect. Thank you, Ramesh.
Sure. And also,
Okay.
since a lot of questions came up on the tools and the features of InfraWorks, like I mentioned, there's a LinkedIn group, and also there's a Autodesk InfraWorks, Autodesk Infrastructure YouTube channels also available. That has latest and greatest, and also some of the training kind of videos also available in there, which users can take advantage of. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great resource. Thank you. Okay. Well, I think we're getting to the top of the hour. To respect everyone's time, I will thank all of you, especially Ramesh and Brian, for your great presentations. You did a wonderful job. And if you have additional questions, don't be afraid to reach out. We will definitely get back to you on that. I do see one more question I don't think we got to is what's usage of Fusion 360? Ramesh, do you know if Fusion 360 can come into InfraWorks?
No, I know that some pieces can come in, but I don't know the details.
Okay, yeah. So usually Fusion 360 is more for the products, like manufacturing type products, where InfraWorks is much more for the building industry, where you can bring those buildings and civil models all together to show the entire site design. So. Okay, and Michelle is asking, where is the link for this presentation? A link will be sent out to you so that you have the recording. And if you'd like more information, you can always reach out to me, michelle.rasmussen@autodesk.com. All right, well, thank you, everyone. We are at the top of the hour, and so I appreciate your time. If you'd like to submit your topics for AU, send me a direct email, or you can always go and go for a full session on your own, like it is 60 minutes to present, or you can do those 5-minute sessions by sending me your topics. If there are topics you would like to learn, definitely fill out that survey at the end of this, because I do look at those and I schedule those topics where I can in the calendar for us to present those topics to you. So thank you, everyone. You have a wonderful day.